I am Israel. This is Amber. This is To Win Begins Within. This is men's relationship wisdom. And the topic of the video is why women are allergic to accountability
Ooh.
and why they seem to take the victim position all the time. So why does this happen? It seems like they're always the victim. They always have to be catered to. It's always the men's fault. And they're just allergic to accountability in all kinds of facets of life.
Right.
Okay, so why does society place them in that position in the first place? What do you think it is?
Honestly, I think it's because they've never really had to experience it. So they grow up being followers. Men are mostly leaders, women are typically followers. Like they grow up being followers to their parents, and then they grow up being followers to their friends, and then eventually their boyfriend or husband, whatever. So what happens is as they're following their parents, if something of that advice goes wrong in some way, they don't really get held accountable because they had incorrect information, they mistook the information, whatever. So they don't really ever learn accountability. And then with the friends, it's like, well, so-and-so is doing this, so they don't really get held accountable again. And then once they get into a relationship with a man, if he's the leader, then it's kind of like, well, he said to go do this, it didn't work out, it's not really my fault. So it seems like all through society and all through growing up, women don't actually, to a degree, okay, learn actual accountability because there's someone else always there to kind of take it for them.
That's right. So if you look at it as a
Something like that.
CEO makes a decision, it affects the whole company. So if the CEO makes a bad decision and it affects the whole company, the employees are really at a victim. They had no control. So that's a leadership dynamic. So when men are the typical leaders in the relationship because they're the ones that are held responsible because they're the ones doing the stuff.
Right.
So if they do the stuff, they take the risk of doing things, that means they're going to get the rewards. And if they do the bad things, they're going to get the punishment. So that's sometimes when you have a good ruler like the king, they chop his head off.
Right.
But the queen is not blamed because the queen follows the king. So it's the king that makes the decision. The king gets the prizes or he gets the responsibilities.
Like
So
there
how
are
can you hold a
Yeah.
follower accountable when they're not making the decisions? So it's a natural dynamic between men and women in those positions. That's why they're not held accountable. So the whole thing is why are women in that position in the first place? Well, first of all, it's because they're more vulnerable. So during a pregnancy, she's more vulnerable for an
Yeah, she's
attack.
a lot weaker.
So she cannot control her destiny as much as a man can. So the man is the one that's trusted as a leader to protect her. So if he's there to protect her, he's the one that's responsible.
For her.
And the reason that he wants to be responsible is because it's his kid. If it wasn't his kid, then he doesn't care.
He might think twice, yeah.
So think about it. So since they're more vulnerable, that's why they typically get child support. Because they get put in a position that's more vulnerable. Okay? So child support and everything. So the leader is the one that's held accountable. Not necessarily the man. The man happens to be the leader in most situations or is expected to be the leader. Sometimes women want to be the leader, and when something happens, they want to blame the man. So when it's convenient, they'll blame the man. And when it's convenient, when something goes good, they say, oh, it's because of
It was
me.
all of me.
So they want to be the leader when there's a good outcome, and they want to take responsibility. And when there's something that happens bad, they want to blame it on the man and tell them it's their fault, and you're supposed to be the man.
You take the accountability.
And that's what we're seeing now. So girls play this psychological game to kind of weed out the men that don't know how to handle that.
Yeah.
So it's a test. It's a fucked up test, but that's what they do
Right.
to know who they can manipulate or not. Because women want to be with a guy they cannot manipulate. Because this is their order of thinking. If I can't manipulate him, he's a good bet because other people can manipulate them. But oh man, I would like to manipulate them. But it's not in my best interest. So if I can manipulate a guy to give me resources, and he gives me resources, that's a simp. I don't like simps. Why? Because somebody else can manipulate him because it's so easy.
And get his resources.
Right. So the
then
girl's
he's
not going to
taken
tell
away.
him, I can manipulate him just with my body. He's not a good future. Because if I can manipulate him with my body, what makes me so special? Nothing. Somebody else with a nice body
Can do the
or
same.
somebody younger can do the same, and then he's not going to be loyal to me.
Right.
He'll be loyal to the body, not to me.
Right.
That's why the women don't like simps. But if they do that to somebody and they're like, I can't manipulate this guy, why is he still around? It's because he likes me. Okay? So that's why there's certain cases which the leadership that takes responsibility, not necessarily the man. So there's been situations where I knew this couple where they're more like egalitarian equals. So they got married and they view as them equals, but the guy was a little bit higher. He was in the leadership role.
Okay.
And then through the dynamic, they chased their careers, and she actually made more money than he did.
And she ended up
Or
surpassing.
I think sometimes men go into back to school to study more, so they take a downgrade in pay, and the girl makes more, and she goes up in her career, and then they have kids during that time, and the separation goes, and for whatever reason, they break up. But since the man was at home taking care of the kid for whatever reason, they're more looked at by the court system as a better parent than the woman, because the woman is a breadwinner. So they kind of decide, you keep going, keep extending. You keep working.
more
I'll be a
beneficial.
stay-at-home dad. But if the stay-at-home dad gets a divorce from the woman and the woman makes more, the breadwinner, then the guy gets the money and takes care of the kid and gets child support. So the court looks at it as like he was more vulnerable because he was the one taking care of the kid. So the court looks at it as like, who is more responsible? The one that makes more, the breadwinner. Because the one that makes more
Is
gets
better at
more
provision.
control of making decisions because it affects the relationship more. So if the woman is making more money, she's going to make more choices. So she's now, by default, the leader. So if she's making the decisions, you want the leader to make decisions because it creates more an effect in the dynamic. She's making more. She needs to make more decisions that will keep making them more. And who else would be better supplied to make those decisions than the one that produces the results?
Right.
So that's why the leader takes those results. So they got divorced, and she had to pay child support, plus she had to pay alimony. So I think it was alimony too. So she was pissed off about it, but he got it. See? So he was the one that was not accountable, was the victim if she separate, and then how is he going to get child support when he's not working? So he's not producing. See, he's the one that's more vulnerable. So this dynamic switch. So it's not necessarily the man or a woman. The man is always at fault. It's the leader that's at fault.
Right.
And
it
usually,
just typically happens to
usually
be.
it's the man.
Yeah.
So the leader position and the follow position is filled by those.
It's still interchangeable,
men and
but
women.
it just has its natural like tendencies.
Right. So like say the leader is the one driving the car.
Yeah, I love that analogy.
So it's the driving the car. If you're in the passenger and he drives recklessly, you're the victim because you can't take any control.
Yeah.
Now if you were in the driver's seat and you got the wheel behind the wheel and the other somebody else, now it's your fault something happens. That's why.
Because you transferred power.
Yeah. So like think about it this way. Let's say you're the passenger, right? And you're drunk, and the driver is not drunk, and they crash, and then they blame it on you, and you weren't even driving. But they're like, you were drunk. But I had no control. So see, they can't blame you.
No.
Right?
Right.
See, that's why you're not held accountable if there's an accident. You happen to be drunk at the accident, but you weren't driving.
Right. So
That's the
another
whole
one,
thing.
yeah, and like we were saying too in a previous video, was that if you, the man, are the driver, and you have a passenger that is a poor passenger, and you don't get that shit in check like right away, like let's say she yells or she's constantly dictating certain, directions, and you don't say, hey, knock that off, because if you don't, we're gonna crash, and say, I'm gonna kick you out at the next stop if you don't quit it. And she continues to do it, and it ends up leading to a crash. Well, it's the driver's fault.
Yeah.
It's the leader's fault because he knew a foreseeable outcome, the probabilities of it happening, and he did nothing to change it. So even then, even though she was the one that was
Because if he has the power to kick a passenger out, now he's held accountable. Why didn't you kick her out sooner?
Correct.
So you were in a relationship with a toxic woman. You could have ended it.
Right. And you didn't, and
Right.
then there was
So
a crash.
there's points of accountability. So the accountability that the passenger is responsible is that, okay, the Uber driver comes and he has a shitty car, well, you're going to be held accountable because you decided to step in the car. So, girl, you picked him. That's where the
Yes.
accountability is. Like, guy, you blame all the guys. They're all narcissists. They're all bad for you. Where did the good guys go? Well, what accountability do you have that you keep picking those guys?
Right.
And girls don't want to take it because they're so spoiled on anything else because they're natural followers all the time.
It's very rare
So-
when they actually have to be held accountable. That it's like they never
No,
learn
no,
their
no.
lesson.
They're always held accountable. They just didn't want to pick and choose. The things that are they're always in positions to be held accountable,
Oh,
but
okay.
to a certain degree.
I understand. Yes, agree.
To a certain degree. And what happens is girls want to avoid accountability over.
Altogether.
They're all together. They'll be like, I'm a follower, so I take no accountability. No. You're a
Yeah.
follower. You can only take certain accountability.
Right.
You're like, well, if the CEO does something, you can quit your job.
Yeah, if you know
You can
he's
get
doing
another
something.
job. Or if the boyfriend's not doing it, you can get another boyfriend. Right? So there's points of
Yeah, there's
accountability.
degrees and
Like, hey, you're a follower, but
Absolutely.
you get to pick who you choose as a leader.
Absolutely.
That's your accountability.
If you picked a bad leader and he took you down, well, why are you surprised?
That's right.
You didn't do your due diligence.
You're choosing your driver. So
Absolutely.
the whole thing is that women get spoiled on a lot of things, and they're trying to use that power on everything.
Yeah.
So one of them is that I like to use is that they don't even want to take responsibility of what they're eating. That's why girls don't like it when you talk about their weight, because they know they can't blame anybody, and they still be like, "Are you fat shaming somebody?" That means I'm holding you accountable for the food that you eat, and
Yeah.
it's your choice, and you still don't want to be held responsible. That's how much they're pushing
Because
it.
you made me feel so bad that I had no choice but to eat that entire tub of Ben and Jerry's. Like, don't you understand?
Exactly. So,
No, it's like-
so like one of the biggest ones that you find is when women commit fraud. So this is false accusations. So society hasn't caught up to punishing them. So if they, let's say, if the girls accuse somebody of sexual, this one, and they're like, okay, if you're wrong, if you were lying, then we're gonna hold you. So what they say is that's gonna discourage women that really do get raped or sexually assaulted not to come forward, because if they come forward
And they can't
it's
prove
true
it.
and they can't prove it, then they're gonna be held accountable. That's why. So this modern day of society is gonna counterbalance that thing, because that's what they say. The new divorce is the lawsuit. The lawsuit is the new
Since
divorce.
people are not getting married, they can't divorce. So a way for women now to get men's resources is through lawsuits.
That's right. So that's what you're seeing it, that now, since they're not marrying it, they're just suing them now.
Right.
And then they're claiming sexual assault. It's just a way to siphon resources.
Absolutely.
So the thing is that when you come out to avoiding, girls are very creative on avoiding accountability.
Yes,
So
they
when
are.
girls say, you know what, I don't want any man, I prefer being single and stuff like that, it says, I quit. So it sounds like okay, but no, they didn't quit. They got fired. So they're an employee. We have a video about treat your girlfriends like employees and be the boss. So like when a boss fires an employee, be like, I don't want you here.
Yeah.
You know,
You
I don't
can't
want you
fire
here. They're
me.
like, you
I
can't fire.
quit.
Exactly. That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
So they're like, you're not dumping me. I'm dumping you. You already got dumped,
You're
girl.
like, okay, fine, whatever makes you happy. You're like, just get out.
That's right. So
Yeah.
that's them avoiding
I
accountability.
love that. Yeah.
So it's like they just want to pick and choose. What passengers do, what girls do to avoid accountability is they get in the car. The driver has all the responsibility. So what they want to do is they want to tell the driver where to go, what to do. And if they fuck up, the driver, or the conclusion is not good, they say it's the driver's fault. And if they say it's something good, the result is good, they say they want to take the credit.
credit.
So this is what it looks like in real reality. So when the girl and the guy want to go somewhere to eat, and the girl said, or the guy asks, or they ask whoever, like, hey, what do you want to eat? And the girl says, I don't know, you pick. Okay, so then he picks, but he's all like, let's eat Chinese food. Okay, let's do Italian. Okay, I guess. Let's do Italian. That sounds all right. That sounds pretty good. That's what she says. So if they go to, he drives, goes to the Italian restaurant. If it comes out good, be like, oh, I'm so glad that I picked this place.
I know, right?
And if it doesn't go, the service is bad or something, then she goes, you see, I don't know why you picked this place.
Yes.
So that's why it seems like, man, you never win.
Right.
So what I do, my personal experience, when I choose, they're like, hey, you want to go eat? And then I go, oh, you pick. I go, okay. I pick, but I don't tell her.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't pick and I don't tell her, and we just go. So we just go, and we're there, and if she's not happy, then I'll be like, well, it's because you didn't pick. You had me pick. It's your fault.
Yeah. You turn it around real quick.
Yeah,
No.
turn around real quick. And then she says, well, I let you pick. And I go, you don't let me anything. I picked whatever. I go, next time, well, you're going to pick. Then, if you really want to go somewhere. And then when a girl picks, even if they don't like it, they're going to say, it was good anyways. I liked it.
Yeah. No,
My mom does it. I do it all the time.
Yeah, your mom's something else. No, but there's a new thing
What's that?
on, I think it's TikTok, So guys, in order to avoid that whole situation, like you just said, there's like the new like hack, I guess, where they go pick up their girl or whatever, and then they're supposed to go out to eat, and she's kind of like, before she can even like really say anything, like really excited, he goes, "You'll never guess where I'm gonna take you." And then she'll be like, "Why? Where?" And he's like, "No, you have to guess."
Oh.
So he gets her like all hyped up. And so like immediately like she gets excited. So she's gonna be like, "Oh my God, he's gonna take me to some place I really, really like."
Yeah.
So the first place that she says, he's gonna be like, "Oh, no way, how'd you know? How did you know?"
That's pretty good. That's pretty
I was
good.
like, that's pretty clever.
But she's gonna catch on eventually.
Well, eventually, yes. But I'm just saying, I'm like, especially like when it's
What
new
I always
and
say
fresh.
is like, I'm
But
gonna take you
yours
to my
is good.
favorite, my ex's favorite place.
You never said that.
Oh no, never. Oh, okay.
Well, not with me. But I don't think it's
No,
good.
see, when a girl adores you, watch.
Uh-huh.
I go, hey, I'm gonna go, like, say I like
You say
Famous
you've been
Dave's. Like, I like
craving
barbecue. So I go, she doesn't
craving.
like barbecue.
No.
But like, hey, I wanna go to Famous Dave's. And what do you say?
I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. It doesn't matter. They have something on the menu. I'll figure it out.
That's her answer. So it doesn't
I'm
matter
like-
because she adores me. She just wants to be with me.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't care because
Right.
every restaurant
Do they
has
serve beer?
every restaurant has something that's like off the typical cuisine, on the menu. I'm like, a salad, you can get it anywhere. It doesn't matter what type of restaurant it is. So it's like, why don't I get white girls or
The
something?
more the girl adores you, the more the discount.
I agree.
That's
and
what it
I
is.
adore you the most.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
I do.
So, if you guys found any value from this video, please share it with somebody that you might know that benefits from it. Please like, share, subscribe, and if that's what we think. Tell us what you guys think in the comments. We can learn from your wisdom or your pain. Please comment so everybody else can see them, and we can learn from each other's perspective. Thank you.